with the dark world of prison, violence, and the extreme consequences that follow. In this video, we will witness the reactions of prisoners who have just been sentenced to life in prison for taking the life of their fellow inmates. Through their words and actions, we'll get a glimpse into the minds of these violent offenders and the choices that led them down a path of destruction. This video is not for the faint of heart, as it contains graphic and disturbing content that may be difficult to watch. However, by shedding light on the harsh realities of life behind bars, we hope to spark a conversation about the importance of personal responsibility, self-control, and empathy for others. So buckle up and prepare to witness the raw emotions and chilling confessions of prisoners facing a lifetime of regret. It's hard to believe that crimes occur since they're so often abhorrent. Those who are capable of executing such crimes are all around the prison. It thus comes as no surprise that similar gruesome instances would also occur in jail. So, here are a few killings that took place in jails and how the convicts reacted to their sentences. When John Sullivan, a 49-year-old pizza delivery guy, was killed in Indianapolis in January, Derek Romano was already incarcerated and serving a 55-year term. He then received an extra 20 years in prison for the murder of Jeremiah Roberts, who shared his cell. In return for the dismissal of a murder allegation, Derek Romano entered a guilty plea to voluntary manslaughter. The aforementioned event involving the murder of the pizza delivery man also implicated Jeremiah Roberts. He received a 68-year term at the Wabash Valley Correctional Institution and was an accomplice. They were both in the same prison and had asked to share a cell. Both of them have been residing in the same cell since September 26. 2 months later, Roberts was discovered dead. The night before the event, both detainees are said to have consumed homemade wine intoxicants. They often argued about ridiculous things. Romano soon lost control and began physically attacking Roberts. He stomped and battered Roberts till he died. Roberts was discovered to have neck and head injuries. Romano's feet were covered with blood and bruises, and there was blood all over the cell. The incident took place on May 3, 2020. Pray for the guy who died here because he lived and died a better man than me, according to notes that Romano wrote on the wall of his cell. Deshaun Madden, another prisoner in Alger County, had killed his cellmate. Deshaun Madden was given a sentence of no less than 60 years in prison and no more than 90 years. In this instance, he was given a sentence of between 16 and 30 years in jail. At first, this was in defiance of accusations of assault with the intent to kill, robbery, and carjacking. These two sentences must be served one after the other. When Deshaun was sentenced, he was just 23 years old. Before reaching a decision, the jury pondered for more than 2 years. Rodriguez Montez Burks, who shared his cell with him, died from a close head wound. The Alger Correctional Facility's guards discovered Rodriguez's motionless corpse inside his cell, covered in blankets. Both convicts had expressed their desire to be separated from one another to the correctional officials. This might imply that the relations between them were not good. According to the prison spokesman, the staff does not purposefully make prisoner life worse. The officer who discovered the corpse said that he saw a suspicious-looking pile of blankets on the bottom bed. It was shortly discovered to be a deceased corpse. The body was exceedingly slick in perspiration. There were a few perspectives on Burks and Madden's connection that were different from those of the policemen and convicts who had testified. The cops thought Madden seemed to be posing a danger to Burks. Madden was certain that Burks was gay and wanted to engage in sexual activity with him. Thus, he desperately wanted to leave the cell. Sharing a cell with Burks seemed humiliating and unsettling to him. He could have thought that by begging his cellmates for help, he would seem weak to the other prisoners. Yet, murdering his cellmate is not the wisest line of action. Next, the jurors made an effort to determine if the conduct was intentional or premeditated. Determining whether it was voluntary or involuntary manslaughter was challenging. Few people regard Stephen Sanderson to be a hero. A child molester who shared a jail cell with Sanderson was killed. Stephen claims, however, that he's not a hero in front of the world. He said that he just performed what he believed to be the best course of action at the time during his sentence. Also, he had drawn criticism for his acts from others. Also, Sanderson got several letters stating that he lacked the power and position to judge others and act in the manner that he did. In response, Sanderson said that he shared their opinion that he was not qualified to pass judgment on anybody. He continued by saying that only God was permitted to judge people and that he had simply scheduled the appointment. Theodore Dyer, 67, was killed by Sanderson, who was 51 years old at the time. Dyer was serving a 25-year minimum term for first-degree criminal bodily conduct against a minor under the age of 13, and Sanderson entered a plea of guilty to second-degree murder in February. For killing his fiancée in 1991, Sanderson was already serving a life sentence without the possibility of release. In Wayne County, Sanderson confessed to the authorities. He said that when he questioned Dyer about the atrocities he had done, Dyer continued to make excuses. He then attacked Dyer and choked him with his shoelaces. That evening, after Dyer had rendered him unconscious, he told the police that Dyer had continued to attempt to defend what he had done. Sanderson wanted to leave the molester in the morning morning and find a new cell and cellmate, even if you wanted quiet and for him to stop talking. Stephen jumped out of the bunk bed and repeatedly pounded Dyer in the face till he collapsed to the ground since Dyer was a little larger than Stephen. He tied the rope he had placed around his neck after he had fallen and kept it there until his life was snatched. Stephen told the prosecution that everything that had transpired was done with full meaning and that he had meant every single word. Stephen said that he murdered Dyer because Dyer had molested children. Sanderson also received the worst punishment possible, which is life in jail with the chance of release. Our last entry, Jaime Osuna, was incarcerated for the 2011 murder of a lady in Bakersfield. For the murder and torture of Yvette Pina, a 37-year-old guest at the Bakersfield Motel, Osuna was incarcerated for life. Although being detained in 2011, he only admitted guilty to killing Yvette in March of that same year. At the age of 17, he was detained for assault with a deadly weapon. Throughout his court appearances, Osuna was undoubtedly an eye-catching figure. His face was covered with tattoos and had devilish behaviors. Moreover, he made fun of the victims' relatives and admitted to tormenting people in front of the television. He said that despite being in jail, he would murder once more. He cut out one of Luis Romero's eyes, a finger, and part of his lung, in addition to killing and dissecting his cellmate. Romero was unfortunately very close to becoming eligible for parole. Romero, who came from Mule Creek State, had been incarcerated for over 27 years and shared a cell with Osuna. His participation in gang-related activities and second-degree murder for shooting a lady in Compton led to his imprisonment. He was just 17 years old when he was taken into custody. Throughout his court appearances, Osuna was undoubtedly an eye-catching figure. His face was covered with tattoos and had devilish behaviors. Moreover, he made fun of the victims' relatives and admitted to tormenting people in front of the television. He said that despite being in jail, he would murder once more. Romero was assassinated on March 9, 2019. Romero was tortured and had his skull severed with a razor-style blade affixed to a handle. Moreover, Romero's mouth was sliced open on both sides so that it resembled an extended grin. The guards discovered Osuna wearing a necklace made of Romero's body pieces. Romero's family filed a lawsuit to inquire as to how such a horrible act could be carried out without the jail officials being aware of it. Romero's placement in a cell alongside someone like Osuna was another issue raised in the case. Osuna was serving a life sentence after being found guilty of murder. He had a history of harming his cellmates and was a Satanist. As things stand, Brandy Edwards, the King County judge, believes Osuna is ineligible to testify. This choice was taken after two psychiatrists concluded that Osuna wasn't able to comprehend the charges brought against him. The case's procedures have been put on hold until Osuna regains her competence. At Corcoran State Prison he was sent. Who of these murderers, in your opinion, deserved the extra punishment they received? If the victims received what they deserved, were they truly victims? Do we have the power to determine who's right and who's wrong? Comment here with your thoughts to let us know how you feel. We understand that the content of this video may be disturbing for some viewers, but we hope it has shed light on the harsh realities of life in prison and the consequences of violent behavior. It's important to remember that every person has the capacity to make choices, and it's up to each individual to choose to act in a way that is respectful and unviolent toward others. We hope that this video has served as a reminder of the importance of empathy, self-control, and personal responsibility. If you or someone you know is struggling with anger or violence issues, there are resources available to help. Please reach out to a mental health professional or a support group in your area for assistance. Once again, thank you for watching, and we hope you continue to seek out informative and thought-provoking content.